Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
So today it will be a special session with a lot of speakers. Very interesting, very important for us, cluster, and for the three industrial modernization platforms. So I will take these previous minutes just to introduce it, and we will start just on point, okay, with the presentation. I think it makes sense. We will try to fit to 1 hour, but I will not be surprised if we take more time than that. So I ask you for flexibility in the term for this session. Okay. Thank you for joining us. Next week we will have a special week focused on S3. Okay, but I think that the real start is today. In fact, we will speak about one of the main sides of the S3 strategies. Okay, and for that I need to say thank you, a big thank you to Fernando Mérida Martin, that has been very involved with also Isabel Segner on the organization of this session. We have an excellent list of speakers, and I am sure that we will share very valuable information, very valuable references for working together, clusters, and those partnerships. So without further delay, I will give the floor to Fernando Mérida from the GRC. Fernando?
Okay, thank you, Antonio. Good morning to all. Well, I'm going to try to share the presentation, hopefully with no problem.
Yes.
Can you see it?
Yes, no. Yes, we see your screen.
Yeah, but I need to move this from
there. Perfect.
No, I think it's there. No.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know why we. No. You need to change the main because I suppose that you have dual screen. You need to display the other screen.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it.
Display settings. The second option in the menu, the upper menu. Display settings. There. Swap. No, swap. Yes, perfect.
Okay. Thank you, Antonio. Thank you. My technological capacities in this environment are less and less and less.
We are improving.
So, yeah, I need. Okay, so good morning to all, and thanks a lot for being here in this presentation about the thematic platforms and the collaboration with clusters in several partnerships. We are going to make this presentation with well, the first part is going to be made by my colleague Isabel Segner and myself, and then we are going to give the floor to some of our more relevant clusters that are participating in our partnerships. So thanks a lot, Antonio, for having us involved in this very interesting series of webinars that you are organizing, and for us it's really a pleasure to participate in it. Okay, without further delay, this is the outline of the conference that we are giving today. We are going to introduce a little bit about the smart specialization concept, only a little bit because I know that all of you are very aware of it. Then we are going to talk about a little bit about what is the relationship between clusters and S3 as concept and as a strategic value. And then we are going to talk about the participation of clusters in the partnerships with these specific cases that are going to be presented by our colleagues Hilary Habukainen, Marisa Fernandez, Simon Mas, and Felipe Carrasco. So, well, going to the point, the concept of smart specialization, you are very aware of it. It's a concept that relates with place-based innovation policies, and that it is there to try to boost growth and jobs in Europe. It is a concept that appears in 2010, more or less, and has been developing during these years and has had a very relevant role in the cohesion policy of this particular period of 2014-2020. It was based in a very deep analysis, in a SWOT analysis made by every region. This analysis was organized with a very open and very deep participation of the different stakeholders of every region, trying to involve also civil society in the so-called entrepreneurial discovery process. Through this process, the objective was to identify a set of specific priorities that were based in the real capacities of the regions, and the idea behind that, it was the concentration of resources in these very specific environments, and not to spend the resources in several elements or several sectors that were not so relevant for the region. The fact is that now we have more than 120 smart specialization strategies all over Europe, and we have been working a lot from the GRC with regions in the whole process of the smart specialization. The Commission created in 2011 the Smart Specialization platform with this objective, to work together with the regions in developing these strategies. Through the years, we have been providing guidance material in the form of the very famous RIS3 guide that was used by regions from the very beginning in understanding the process and developing the process. Then we have provided also implementation handbook, digital agenda handbooks, and so on. Also, we have been working a lot with the creation of several tools and work with relevant regional data in these tools that you can see there, the IRIS3, the regional benchmarking, the energy STIP monitoring. And also we have been working a lot with regions in specific peer reviews, and we have working in the mutual learning. We have organized a lot of meetings with regions in which we have provided the possibility for them to talk together, to learn from each other, and to create better understanding of what could be the smart specialization implementation. We also have organized training policymaker events. For instance, we have organized a MOOC on monitoring, as monitoring is one of the most relevant elements of smart specialization strategy, in particular now that we are in the process of finishing this first period. And also we have providing analyzing exercise, analyzing documents. After this period, we can see several things about the smart specialization in terms of implementation. We are sure that we have developed this strong place-based regional innovation ecosystem. So I think that we think that the smart specialization has improved the internal connectivity of the regions, that participation of different stakeholders have been improved, that now is more common to hear when we are talking with regions, that the interaction between the different elements is much bigger than before. we have created a larger, stronger, and more dynamic regional innovation ecosystem because of this openness. And we have also created expanding across borders, fostering the interregional cooperation concept. And in particular, the interregional cooperation concept is the one in which Isabel and myself has been working for several years in the two platforms. Now, Isabel, can you follow, please?
Yes, thanks. So, thank you, Fernando. Thanks a lot. So indeed, from 2015, more or less, the European Commission launched those thematic platforms to help the regions to implement their S3 thanks to transnational and interregional corporations. The idea was to take advantage of this outward-looking dimension of S3, and so we created those thematic platforms so that are we are people from the GRC in those platforms, so we have not to make the mistake between platforms and partnerships. Platforms is under the general S3 platforms. We are a little staff, a few people. For example, now we are Fernando and myself for the energy and the industrialization platform, and there is Catalina also for the AGRI-FOOD platform. The idea is that we help those regional innovation ecosystems to connect with other regions, and we provide those environments that are interactive and participatory because we are supporting this quadruple helix and bottom-up way of working. We have been working since, yes, more or less 2015, 2016 with the S3P Energy first, and now we have participation from more than 200 regions from not only EU member states, but also non-EU countries, so it's a great success. But in terms of partnerships, as I said, under those platforms, now you are there, the people working on the ground, the interregional partnership, there are 33 partnerships so far. And the concept is that based on their local priorities, the regions have partnered around common and complementary interests, and they have joined forces together. As we always said, it is mainly to make a better use of your SC funds and to better implement your S3 thanks to the knowledge and the complementary strengths that you can find across Europe, to avoid duplication of resources, human resource, of financial resources, infrastructure. Also, the idea is to increase critical mass, of course, to be able to enhance the development and the investment in value chains, in existing ones or in new innovative value chains. And of course, it's also about building synergies, if possible, among those regions, not only to build together these joint investment projects, but also on a political and strategic level with those other regional regions and other countries, but also with other EU networks and initiatives in order to be, yes, better aligned and commit together towards the same direction. So these are organized, we would say, shared space for joint demonstration also of solutions. And the idea is we are now in the process of forging new business opportunities through these partnerships. So I will go through more specifically into the three thematic platforms that exist very quickly. So as I said, the energy one was created first. There are now 6 partnerships, and also one initiative that was held on heating and cooling. Is not a partnership as such, but we have colleagues working on that. And can you change the slide, please, Fernando? Yeah. Yes, so we are working also with colleagues in GRC that are experts in heating and cooling, and they have helped also regions at learning from each other in those fields. So maybe there is no partnership now, but maybe later on. There are almost 90 territorial administrative units working in 27 different countries. And we say territorial administrative units because it's true that we mainly say regions, but we want, by regions we mean, and that's why we use better that word territorial administrative unit as formally, because the regions, the countries, the cities can participate in those partnerships. It's not limited to regions, of course. Some are working at national level, others are working at very local level, and it's true that it should be linked to the S3, so it depends on how the S3 has been designed and also at which political level and financial level the country can commit. So that's why we call them territorial units. And the objective of the energy platform was also to assist the country in general to make an optimal use of their cohesion policy funding opportunities for energy, which are not only under thematic objective 1, but also thematic objective 4 and even 7 for energy. The policy DGs involved are DG Regio, NR, and GRC. The AGRI-FOOD platform has now 5 partnerships that you can list. You can see here the list. We have colleagues today that will speak about from the Smart Sensor for AGRI-FOOD, for example. There are more than 60 regions or administrative units working, and the DG Agri is also involved in this platform. All the information of all partnerships are available online. You can see more there. You can read their reports. You have a look at their events and many more information. The industrialization platform is the biggest one under our generic S3 platform. DG Grow is also involved in these ones. And you can see here that there are 22 partnerships because there is a new one recently launched on cultural and creative regional ecosystems that will be that has been launched this summer. So there are many regions working on that, more than 30 leading regions. There is a steering committee. We would like to have a meeting soon, maybe online, so we'll let you know. And very briefly, I would like to maybe we can mention the methodological the methodology that we've used in those partnerships, where it is based on the Vanguard Initiative methodology. It is a methodology development defined in 5 phases. So the first 2 phases, learn and connect, which are about scoping now, definition of objectives, learning from each other, and mapping of competencies, and also matching of possible business opportunities. These are mostly supported by our platform. And then there are specific supports provided by DG Grow, for example, that helps the partnership to go further towards the demonstration, commercialize, and scale up of their investment interregional projects. There is a manual for the 2 first phases that has been published by GRC. It's available online. And I think I will pass the word again to Fernando, because there are many things to say about clusters. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel. We are going to talk later on as well. I'm trying to advance. I don't know what is going on. I don't know what is going on. I can.
You must click in the screen first. Click in the screen. Yeah, and now
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Well, after this presentation about the platforms and the concept of the different thematic platforms, we are now going into the relationship between clusters and smart specialization strategies. It is true that this is not new. There are many things that has been said through years about the relationship and the convenience of the integration of the strategic approach that the smart specialization offers and the activity that the clusters are doing in the regions. Our clusters are really relevant elements in the regions, and we have selected these two quotes from the first one from Ulan Egelman, head of the Advanced Technologies, Clusters and Social Economy of DG Grow, that emphasize the relevance, the relevance of clusters as magnets that are attracting different elements of different sectors, different agents in the regional innovation ecosystems. And also, what now that we are working in these very relevant elements of digital and sustainable things, what could be the cluster role in these areas because of its capacity, the capacity of cluster to align in these different agents. The second quote that we are offering you is extracted from a document published by the Alpine cluster, the Alpine space cluster that was working in a project in Smart Specialization. It is very interesting to have this in mind because they are talking about interregional cooperation. They consider in this document the clusters are the ideal vehicles to transmit S3 enhanced to the business level and to give the S3 real impact in terms of innovation within enterprise, new value chains and jobs. This is really important because we can see here how a cluster that is composed by different regions, with different sectors, are considering the S3 as a very good element to boost the collaboration and consider the need of increasing the role of cluster for connecting firms, especially small and medium enterprises, and building bridges across regional ecosystems. So this graphic that is extracted from the same document, I think that it is showing better this interplay and what could be the benefits of them. Of course, S3 is a strategic element that it has a policy role, let's say, and the cluster is more connected with the reality, more connected with the implementation, more connected with those that are working in the field, in the ground. So this interaction between them, between the innovation and the implementation, is obviously a beneficial interplay between the two elements. And of course, we are taking into account not only what has been the past, the collaboration that they have, the S3 and the regional cluster, the collaboration that they have, but we are now interested in to see how this collaboration could be increased from the interregional cooperations perspective, and how this could be implementing new capacities for the economic recovery, for instance, for the post-COVID context, and also how can we collaborate for more cross-sectoral activities, cross-regional activities. And I think that it's quite important to see how our partnerships are working in this side. So, for instance, when we are thinking about the next programming period, the 21-27 period, where the Commission is trying to increase the capacity of the regional innovation ecosystem through working in a larger and stronger and more dynamic environments, we are talking about the implementation of more active entrepreneurial and discovery process. We are thinking about to identify synergies not only in funding issues but in strategic on regulation. We are thinking in working in digitalization. We are trying to have a more interterritorial cooperation, more cross-sectoral investment. All of these things we consider that has already started with the activities that our partnerships are doing, and the role of the many clusters that are working in our partnerships show that this could be really reinforce smart specialization in the next programming period. And I pass the word again to Isabel.
Sorry, my mic. Yeah, as you all know, there are many initiatives that have already been organized and launched by the European Commission or at European level. There is this Observatory for Cluster, the European Collaboration Platform for Cluster, and that there is. We wanted to highlight this one, this action from the COSME program, the European Strategic Cluster Partnerships for Smart Specialization Investments. Of course, we wanted to insist that there is the objective of these partnerships, these strategic cluster partnerships, is key for our partnerships. The objective was to foster the collaboration of enterprises, especially SMEs, as well as their interaction with their technology centers, etc., both within the clusters and, of course, across regional and sectoral silos also. The specific aim is, like the ones for our partnership, is to generate joint actions and investment projects and a sustainable partnering process for strategic interregional collaboration around those common S3 priority areas that are linked to industrialization. So they are here to help improve the business environment of these around these priorities. They have been launched in 2018 in autumn, and they involve partners from almost 20 EU countries across. They are active in various industrial sectors that you can read here, that are all related to the key drivers of industrialization. So CATS, digital transformation, services, innovation, also resource and efficiency, etc. It would be very interesting to hear maybe from people here listening to this webinar if they are part of this and how they are feeling it's working, if it's working, and how you think that we can improve also the work of those clusters with the platforms. Fernando, can you go to the next slide? Yes. Very quickly, just as said by Fernando and in your webinars in this alliance, we are also pursued that the clusters will act as key change agents in the economic recovery of the EU single markets toward also. We insist on the digital and carbon neutral green future. So those 14 industrial ecosystems that have been identified have already been presented several times. There was a webinar in July, and where Ulla Engelmann presented so also already preliminary results. But we wanted to highlight again the role that cluster will have in this recovery. Next slide. So yes, to conclude, maybe I just want to say, Fernando, is there a slide with yeah, that's fine. I see it now. Sorry, that was my connection. So maybe to conclude, yes, as said earlier, and as said many times, we believe that there is a huge potential of cross-regional cooperation and cluster-based processes, and that can enhance in general the practical implementation of S3, and in particular the S3 partnerships objectives. So they have a key role in boosting collaboration and connecting enterprise, especially SMEs, in supporting the innovation take-up, which is not easy, to stimulate internationalization of those SMEs, to develop the value chain interlinkages in Europe. So, but it's really not easy as it might be hoped, no? For example, one of the issue of the S3 implementation is when priorities are defined too broadly. So then the connections and the spillovers, and it's difficult they have difficulties to happen, and critical mass will not emerge. To achieve this critical mass, you have to focus on something also specific. So I think these partnerships offer a very good framework conditions, so because the priorities are there now very specifically defined, and the interregional cooperation is a key element to find this critical mass. So I think it's the involvement of the cluster in the partnership may be easier sometimes than in general to implement the S3, the broad priorities. We think that the regions and their cluster initiative need to be equipped also to maybe with some more systematic processes to implement the S3 in maybe some policy instrument can be improved related to networking, etc. But we have thought that from our side, for example, we can begin with a better communication about and collaboration between the regional clusters and the platforms and the partnerships. So that's why we are here today to explain again what are those platforms, what is maybe the S3 even, and we count on the help, on the support of the European Cluster Alliance with Antonio Novo. So thank you a lot. As said by Fernando, cluster here can act as a concrete tool to ensure the activity on the ground on the specific topic decided by the partnership, and the clusters members will can provide really key information on needs and challenges that can be existing or the new ones that will happen, for example, due to the crisis. And they can support very actively the partnerships in all those strategic analysis activities like the matching and the mapping. As I said before, at the very beginning of the methodology development of the partnerships, we need to know what is happening, and they have a very good knowledge on that. Also, of course, key role is that they can increase and ensure the participation and mobilization of the industry in those partnerships, in those projects, and they ensure the private sector backing. They are very good at organizing B2B events and these kind of things, and they are here to help very much. There is this common interest actually from both the policymakers that are part and they have created maybe the partnerships and of the clusters in general, is to achieve results and to reach those business opportunities, to make this happen on really, you know. So I think that this cluster that can bring market-oriented knowledge and their business capacities also linked to that common regional priorities and strategic view from the partnerships. I think that collaboration between the partnerships and the cluster, a greater collaboration, can help make those projects happen, we think. And through the thematic platforms, with the help of such Aliance, with the help of Antonio, we can support further the partnerships and the cluster to increase the inter-territorial collaboration and also cross-cluster innovation. We know that many partnerships have already done a great deal of efforts to integrate those initiatives from clusters in their S3 process. And we have the chance today to hear some of those cluster representatives that are actively participating or even leading several of those interregional partnerships. So I will now give the floor to them. Thank you very much. I don't know if there is any final slide. No, thank you. Maybe you have specific questions on the platforms, on the partnerships, or we can move to the next speakers and have all the questions after.
Yeah, I think that it will be better to go to the next speakers and then wait for questions and answers to the end. I think that it will be better. So I'm going to put now the other presentation that I have, if I able to do it. Is here. So you can see it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So the first presenter that we are going to have is Ilari Havukainen from the Regional Council of Lapland. He's going to present very interesting things about this and North Finland. So please, hi Ilari, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Fernando. Thank you, Isabel, and thank you, Antonio, for hosting this once again. And very happy to be on board today. As mentioned, I work for East and North Finland at the moment, where Lapland is one of the regions. And based on our mapping last year, together with 6 other regions, we have about 40 clusters and business ecosystems supporting SMEs. And now we can move to the next slide. And today I'm presenting a bit about Lapland, just to show where it is on the map if you didn't know, and that there you see also the East and North Finland, all the 7 regions. And I'll be telling a bit about my experience on S3 implementation and clusters and thematic smart specialization partnerships where I've been involved since the beginning. Next slides, please. Here you see some statistics about East and North Finland participation in thematic partnerships. We have 15 different partnerships where we are involved and 28 commitments, meaning that all these 7 regions are committed 28 times, and Lapland is leading 4 of them. And they are sport, digitalization and safety for tourism, mining industry, and myself, I've had some experience with bioenergy together with Castilla Leon and Eren, where we have also a spin-off Interreg Europe project. Next, please. Here is the picture where we started 2015 implementing the smart specialization of Lapland. You see how the industry and business environment looks like. We have lots of industry, which is, let's say, traditional, but we have some services around the sustainable tourism and new emerging industries supporting the leading industrial fields on forestry and mining and metallurgy. And this is how we also started to build the clusters, and we created the brand Arctic Smartness. My colleague Karina is on the line as well, and she can post a web page address for Arctic Smartness where you can learn more about. And Fernando, you can put the next slide. And these were the clusters we started 2015, 5 of them, and 2 of them were able to receive the silver label in Cluster Excellence program. in 2018. And then there is one more cluster started last year called Arctic Sustainable Tourism, which is now the 6th cluster implementing the new updated Smart Specialization strategy of Lapland. And then you can move forward. And this will be the last slide, but I'm going to focus a few details here. Numbers 1 and 2, they are very important for us also in East and North Finland. We think that the clusters are key in supporting companies, of course, as Fernando mentioned, that they have the understanding of business and they work constantly with SMEs, so we need to get resources for them. And from the regional authority side, we are helping them to find funding, developing their innovation services, engaging municipalities, cities, and other organizations supporting in business in the region. And one of the most important things we've seen since beginning is that the interregional cooperation should be developed together with cluster players and look for also new kind of EU level cooperation in interregional partnerships and EU projects and funding. And this is also something we're going to focus in the future, and we will intensify our cooperation in East and North Finland level, looking for new partnerships for our clusters, supporting the already existing thematics partnerships. For example, the advanced materials for batteries in the industrial modernization platform is very important for the East and North Finland. And then with the support of our EU office in Brussels, we're going to prepare ourselves for the Horizon Europe and new programming period where the clusters are still playing a very important role. And let's say the link between the smart specialization and clusters is very, very visible and clear, at least based on the current plans. Also, we're taking part in the Vanguard initiative, which is the basis for the whole thematics partnerships. And the process comes there, and we've taken now active role there as a East and North Finland and offering an opportunity for all sub-regions to take part. And we're going to work with 3D printing and efficient and sustainable manufacturing pilots and under Vanguard. And one thing is that we would like to build new cross-regional clusters within the East and North Finland based on the current S3 implementation, which I'm going to tell about next week more, where I'm going to be there on Friday again. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Hilary. Now we move to the next presentation on water smart territories by Marisa Fernandez. Please, Marisa.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, I'm going to introduce water smart territories. Yes, when the COVID-19 crisis began, our partnership reached its first year of working. So water smart territories was very active during 2019, and we met face-to-face twice. We consolidated the partnership with the participation of 20 regions, has performed a mapping exercise of challenge, asset, competencies, and matching of business opportunities. But COVID changed our plans, changed the plans of everybody. During this year, we couldn't meet, but face-to-face, but then we changed also, but we were very active having online meetings. During the first semester of 2020, we have 20 meetings online. So then, okay, COVID has changed our plans. Maybe has slowed down a little bit the work of water smart territories, but we have to keep working because then water smart territories could be a tool towards a green and collaborative recovery. Next slide, please, Antonio. Yeah, this one. Yeah. So why the water could be as support to the European reconstruction of the green economy. No, water is related to the main economic sector. No, so water offers opportunities through its link with agriculture, with energy, with transport, with tourism, with agro-industry, but also with digitalization, infrastructure, and climate, biodiversity. So water can contribute to the circular economy. That is going to be one of the pillars of the green recovery. So one of the main objectives of water smart territories is the digitalization of the water sector, because this is going to have a positive impact on quality, quantity, pollution, and on the environment. So it is very important to investing in the water sector. This contribute to the creation of sustainable growth and green jobs. No? So, for instance, the foundation, the Ellen MacArthur, say that the estimate that circular economy is expected to increase the gross domestic product in Europe of 7% by 2030. Next slide, please, Antonia. Yeah, thank you. So then these are the objective of our partnership, just to work this cross-regional collaboration to address to work in the water efficiency, to address the increasing demand on water in the different in the main economic sector in Europe, and ensure also that the competitiveness of the European water industry. And then we are working in four areas. So boosting resilient infrastructure, because for instance in Europe we are the aging infrastructure and a low investment in operation and in maintenance. So there is a really a need to invest in this. Also the digitalization, and I already mentioned, so business intelligence, big data, acquisition and management of this data, sensor, robotic. So there were many aspects that will improve the water management through the digitalization. Circular economy also, as I mentioned, allows resource recovery, valorization, water reuse. So there is also many lines of work in the relation of the water with the circular economy. And also a very relevant aspect that is the multi-stakeholder governance, that is very relevant to do a good water management. So this is these are the four lines of where we are, or thematic areas where we are working in our partnership. Next slide, please. So here you can see the map of the regions that we are involved. So we have 3 leading regions: Aragon in Spain, Central Val de Loire in France, and Friesland in the Netherlands. And then, we have the regions and we have the cluster, 3 water clusters that we are working in this leading this partnership. And also you see that we have a representation of the north, south, east, and west region for Europe, where we have in total around 20 regions participating in this moment. Next slide, please. So here you can see when the result of this mapping exercise that I mentioned that we did during the last year, we identified the challenges where the regions want to participate, want to work, like the water footprint reduction in large water consuming industries, also water reuse and reclaimed water, the need of water treatment, also the need to reduce the diffuse pollution, that is produced by the agriculture and also for the farms, no? Recovery of nutrients and metal, boosting this water circularity that I was mentioned before. So, but then in this mapping exercise, we also could see all the stakeholders stakeholders with research centers, university, companies, small and large companies, digital innovation hub, incubators, European projects that could contribute to work in these challenges that we identified. Just the last slide, please, Antonio. And then this you can see the 4 working groups that now we are active in the partnership, digitalization, novel biotechnological solutions, and also widespread pollution caused by nitrates. That we are working in these groups, and water smart territories, the water smart territories approach to boost green and collaborative recovery include just keep supporting the SMEs to overcome innovation barriers, facilitate the cross-sectoral collaboration to increase the resource efficiency, and also boost the cross-fertilization between the SMEs and large industries, the research, the startup, the social entities, the public entities, so to boost the cross-fertilization between the quadruple helix. So, yeah, thank you very much. And if you have any question, please, I will be, very happy to answer. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Marisa. We can go now to the third presentation from the Smart Sensor for Agri-Food. Simon Mas, please. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Yes, good morning. I'm Simon. I work for Agri-Food Capital, but today I'm presenting our Smart Sensors for Agri-Food partnership. Can we go to the next slide, Fernando? We started about 5 years ago, I think, with a cluster-based focus on food processing, where we saw that a lot of agri-food companies were lagging behind in the uptake of digital technology, and we saw opportunities to join forces to make SMEs to make the step to digitalization. We chose to do this mainly for food processing and excluding primary production, but within the agri-food platform, that's not a problem because we have another existing thematic platform on high-tech farming. I saw that Fabio was here as well. So we are closely collaborating with them, but we try to avoid overlap in this point. Maybe we can go to the next slide. We set up, in our opinion, a practical SME-oriented approach, really striving to enable SMEs to make the steps toward digitalization by creating awareness together, to use demonstration projects that we have in the different clusters and regions to show to others as well, to give training and workshops, all this to really accelerate the implementation in agri-food companies, where our main aim is really fostering this collaboration between companies in the end. It's nice that we as clusters starting to work better, but in the end we are doing it for the SMEs, and I think that's a very important point. When you are using clusters, clusters really all feel the need to achieve something for SMEs within their networks, and that way you need to choose a focus, because if you have your focus too wide, SMEs simply won't be attracted. On the next slide, you can see our regular members of our partnership. We have quite a nice spread around Europe. And we really chose to have the regular members all be in clusters, because they have these existing relations with SMEs. They have the existing relations with knowledge centers, universities, and RTOs. In most of the cases, they have good existing relationships with local and regional governments. And they are really clusters usually are really interested in growing relations with other clusters, because clusters don't really have this geographical boundaries that governments do have. So I agree with what Fernando showed as a quote from Ulla Engelman, that clusters here really are the binding part. We have clusters, as you might see, from both the agri-food sector as more technology providing oriented clusters, because in order to have agri-food companies make the step to digitalization, we really need to have a better understanding in both ways between agri-food and technology providers, because we notice that they don't usually speak the same language. They don't trust each other all the time. So we are really trying to create this trust zones, and by awareness, creating this collaborations. This year we formalized our partnership. You see the word members. We really have paying members within our partnership, because we think if you want to do a partnership really professional, you need to have some professional program manager as well that can do the day-to-day work on this partnership, because otherwise it's always a job people have to do next to their regular job, and we think we really benefited from this dedicated program manager for the partnership. Maybe the next and my last slide is where you can see the benefits for the clusters as well. From our partnership, we were able to create 2 European funded projects. Consensus, it was already mentioned earlier, within the COSME framework, which really helped us as a partnership to advance on our strategy roadmap, build on our knowledge of the different living labs working on this on these topics, create some study visits and matchmaking, and create a few demo cases. After that, we were lucky enough to have a InnoSub project funded AGRI-FOOD, which allows us to really offer an extra service to our SMEs to provide them with funding to make these steps in their innovation projects. And this is really beneficial for the clusters as well, because the clusters will have some extra motivation to work on these strategies, challenges, trends, so we can really combine the knowledge we have and make use of the different phases where different countries are in. In some cases, some countries are really ahead within the use of some technologies than others. And by combining this within our partnership, we all create a good common knowledge on challenges, trends, and possible solutions. And what's really interesting is this continuous discussion, conversation we have between technology-oriented clusters and agri-food clusters, where we really learn how these different sectors actually work and could come closer together. And by this partnership, we try to make the best use of support programs that are offered by the EU, like Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe in the future, but also Digital Europe, and more currently for us, a very important new strategic role within the Green Deal is the Farm to Fork strategy, where we were very pleased to see that food processing was really identified as one of the main the main topics where we could advance and help Europe towards this more green economy. I think that's it for now, and we'll be open for questions later.
Okay, thanks a lot, Simon. I think that we can now to our last speaker, Felipe Carrasco, from the Smart Regional Investments in Textile Innovation. Felipe, please.
Yes, good morning, Fernando. Thank you for inviting me to the Joint Research Center, Fernando and Isabel, and of course the President of the European Cluster, Aliance, Antonio Novo. Yes, my name is Felipe Carrasco. I took several positions over the last 10 years, but always focused on European textile industry and in the fields of innovation and clustering. Currently, I am the chairman of the European Association of Technical and Smart Textiles Clusters, Textile 2030. I am also the co-leader of the interregional collaboration platform, RegioTex. And additionally, I am co-leading the thematic platform of the Smart Regional Investments in the Textile Innovation. And that last position is why I'm here today. And let me move directly to the topic and give you some words about what we made in the last 7 years till now regarding the steps done to create an European partnerships in innovative textile industry. Is a let's say it's a kind of a helicopter view about my experience in how cooperation between partnership and clusters. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, it's a cat. Okay. A kind of, as I said before, the cluster can really reinforce the competitiveness of the territories, industries, and SMEs at the end. So first, in 2013, we created officially our cluster in Valencia region. This was very easy because we are surrounded by more than 500 home textiles companies. Having created our own cluster, we went through scaling up the action at the European level on 2014, more or less, and we founded a partnership with the other 7 European textile clusters. And we gained a European project for launching cooperation with other textile clusters abroad Europe, but focused on pushing R&D cooperative projects. The result was really good because in 4 years, more or less, we launched more than 50 collaborative projects, and we also signed more than 10 MOUs abroad Europe with Brazil, Japan, Israel, Canada, etc. But in this phase, the more important thing was that we knew each other, and then we started building trust between partners. So trust was the first brick, let's say. In the second phase, we more or less in 2015, with the creation of a collaboration platform for the textile region along Europe, initially under the umbrella of the European Textile Association, EURATEX, and now currently with the collaboration and coordination and support of the European Textile Platform. This second phase was also very important because we created the governance of and the structure of the partnership, and also a common strategy for the 4 interregional cooperation pillars of our platform. The more important material result was the involvement of the regional public agency. For sure, the interregional cooperation was the second brick of our big platform. And last but not least, in the third phase, our RegioTex group joined the Smart Specialization platform, and we created the thematic platform, the Smart Specialization, the Smart Regional Investment in Textile Innovation. And this was a quality step because we discovered many opportunities for cross-sector cooperation. But if I had to say the more important benefits from our maybe slow, but in any case very firm path, I will remark 5 bullet points. The first is the huge knowledge about the European innovative textile industrial ecosystem. Secondly, the efficient governance of our platform. Third, common strategies for the textile territories, and then a new cooperation culture. And last but not least, a list of new collaborative projects, investments for the close future for our clusters. But in the last times, in the middle of the pandemic tsunami, we have seen even more sense of the partnership role and how important is the integration of the public authorities in a very close contact with the innovation system, the ecosystem. In many European textile territories in pandemic, we saw an amazing adaptability of the SMEs to the current situation. I could show you a lot of samples about how a very small company has totally changed its business model to produce sanitary masks instead, for example, of carpets or blankets, or medical breath devices instead of plastic pieces for automotive industry, just in 2 months. So after some sample analysis, we see very clear that in all cases, there are 3 main ingredients. The first is the close connection of the SMEs with the cluster organization. The second is the fast reaction from the cluster organization to reach the regional public agencies in looking for support, action for the industry. And the third, but not is less important, the quick and real support from the regional public agencies in developing new tools related to the new value chains adapted to a new pandemic situation at the SMEs. So this is why, from my humble point of view, this is why the cooperation between clusters, partnerships are essential if we want to prepare our industries at the regional level for the next challenges, and because they are coming very, very soon, we have to be prepared with the company. So that's all I wanted to say, and thank you for your kind attention and very open to your questions.
Okay, thanks a lot, Felipe. It has been a very interesting presentation, as the rest of them. I think that we are quite very happy for being with all. We be together with all of you, or the 4 of you that has presented a wonderful view of how clusters are being a very active participant of the partnerships, of the ES3 partnerships, and how you have been working very, and you are working, and we hopefully expect that you are going to work in the next future in strengthening the relevance of interregional cooperation, particularly because, as we have all of us said, the role that clusters are playing within every region is really relevant, is a key one. But from the perspective of interregional cooperation is even more important, as we have seen during these years in the smart specialization development, that it has not been an easy task, the cooperation between regions. And the cooperation between regions, it was one of the elements that were in the core of the smart specialization strategies. So we have been pushing a lot in the platforms and in the creation of the partnerships. We are trying to support regions with our more positive effort, and we see that you really are one of the key factors for the success, for the success of the interregional cooperation in Europe. I was trying to show, but I think that I am not being able now to show you properly this slide. Antonio, I think that
good enough. Don't worry, because
it is only because we have had these 4 presentations, but we want you to know that the participation of clusters is not only reduced to these 4. There are other participation, very relevant participation, because in this direction clusters that you see there, of partnerships that you see here, all of them are led by clusters. But we have clusters participating in others, but all of these are led by clusters. So again, this connection of interest, this interplay of both elements are clear when we see these specific things. So I come back and I give the floor to you, Antonio, and we are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you to all of you. Fernando, I think that you are a wonderful moderator, so I will look for new opportunities. And the organization has been wonderful. I started the session telling the attendants that we will probably take longer than 1 hour today. So my proposal is those of you that can, please remain. And I think it makes sense to have some kind of dialogue now between those that are able to remain here, okay? So who is the first to comment or question somebody? I don't know if Alan, are you there? Would you like to share with us your questions and ideas? I don't know if he's. No?
Yeah, it was really sort of there was two. The first one was to as well looking at the heating and cooling initiative. I work in the National Health Service in the Highlands of Scotland, and was wondering if any of the partners in the heating and cooling initiative had been involved in either healthcare or other public sector buildings.
Isabel speaking from Jassy. Not sure now not really working on this specific topic. I think, but it's very interesting, and maybe it can raise interest from the people the regions that were already working in these initiatives. I gave you the link of our webpage where you can find the reports with the results of the initiatives, and maybe we can keep in contact and try to help you find other people interested in that topic.
Yeah, that would be absolutely.
Yeah, building a new partnership is a rough, very difficult task, I would say. But we can begin that work. Yes, of course, we can contact other regions with similar interests.
I know for sure of a Spanish cluster, in fact, from Andalusia, that is working on that kind of projects. I'm totally sure, and I will give you the reference. But we could look for more references across Europe, I'm sure.
Yeah,
That would be fantastic. And I had a second follow-up question from the discussion. I'd be interested looking at kind of the smart specialisation across Europe has been based around themes, to see about developing smart specialisation more to like socio-economic development strategies. And I've been having some conversation with Ilari about Lapland into like socio-economic development strategies that link several themes across geographies that have similar key sectors, similar issues. In the case of Lapland, the Highlands of Scotland, rurality, and similar opportunities, and wondered if there's any other initiatives in Europe that were looking to do the same.
I don't recall any in at least in our structure of platforms, but we have had a lot of conversation at the office about the possibility to have this dimension also, because of course, for instance, I remember very clearly one of these elements that in Lapland is relevant, the scarce population areas, for instance. That is something that happens in other regions in Europe, for instance, in the case of Aragon, that I know that Antonio knows very well, and probably in other regions of Europe. And it could be an interesting point of view to try to understand how these differences that these specificities that are related with the geography could be also be relevant for the creation of this kind of initiatives. It's something that is open. In fact, we have been working in these three areas of energy, agri-food, and industrial modernization. As you very well pointed out, we are based in the priorities that the regions has defined, and in particular the most common priorities. In fact, the energy platform was the first one created because energy was the most common topic in the smart specialization strategies. Then we had built the other because agri-food, for instance, is really relevant. I remember, for instance, in Spain that the 17 Spanish regions consider agri-food as a priority in their smart specialization strategies. Maybe these other elements related with the geography were not so present in the strategies, but for sure it could be interesting to have this dimension also in board in some way.
And also, yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead, and I go later. Yeah.
Okay. Just also, it's true that maybe it can be. It's also an alternative solution to participate in several partnerships that can cover 7 themes that would interest you from your region. So because it's not easy already to focus on one topic and to gather all the people working on that topic. So maybe and have projects in these ones. So if you cover several at the same time, maybe it can be easier to have these. To take advantage of what is already existing. Maybe you can find other partnerships that are of interest to you, and you can ask for joining them also. It's many regions participate in several partnerships. It depends also of your own capacity to participate and to be active in all of them. And Marisa, yes. Sorry.
No, yeah, no, thank you. I want to mention that when we start developing water smart territories, we were thinking on that, not that you can find a lot about smart cities and that, but we call territories because we were thinking on this for instance, in what we have in Spain, no? Or in Aragon, for instance, in our case, in our region that we were leading this partnership, that we have many small places that with a few people that they are isolated, that they have just spread in the region. So and then also we have a lot of we have four regions from Finland participating now in the partnership, because for us it's very important this aspect that you were mentioning, not the rural dimension and also the territories, not to bring this. To bring this digitalization of the water for the small places, and is one of the areas where we identified many challenges where we want to work. So yeah, I think it's a very relevant issue. Not that, for instance, it was really in the core of the when we were thinking in water smart territories.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm still keen to join. I'm still speaking to Barry Gregg about Scotland joining water smart territories, but as you can imagine, Brexit's made that very difficult.
I think, yeah, we have some people from Scotland, I think, in this moment. Yeah, maybe not very active, but yeah, I understand that it's difficult now. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Any other comment, question? Anyone want to share? Are there others participants on the platforms that could share with Isabel your experience, your opinion, suggestion for improvement?
Let us know what we can do, how we can do it.
Yes, we are more than open, because in fact although we have been working a lot promoting the platforms and also of course promoting the partnerships and so on, it is always something that there is something always that we miss, is the participation of regions from EU 13 member states, for instance. This is something that we consider, and in fact we think that clusters could be a very relevant agent to improve or to increase the participation of these regions from the EU 13, EU less developed regions in our partnerships, and take advantage of these partnerships, because in many occasions we have found that the regional ecosystem in these regions are weak. They need more clear governance, more clear support from the authorities and so on. But in these territories, the clusters exist. So clusters are there. There are not many, but in fact, we have some clusters from these regions participating in some partnerships, and we think that with your support, I think with your support, we with the support of the clusters alliance, the clusters that are already participating in the partnerships, we could improve the participation of more European regions that are now not so active in the platforms.
I am sure, and I want to publicly say that you have our full support from the European Cluster Alliance, and we will work on that.
Thank you, Antonio.
Great.
Marek, would you comment?
Yeah, Antonio, can you hear me?
Yes. Welcome.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, GRC, as well, for all these presentations. And actually, this all partnerships. This was the idea to ignite collaboration between regions in specific areas. So the specific areas are the trigger the collaboration between regions. And so this is kind of we saw after this 5 years that this is the sort of kindergarten for collaboration. So it's like something which igniting, which can then be delivered and be possibility to go for like financing as it was showing from the case from agriculture, or bringing the different actors together. What we've seen, and this was run, and next week, probably on Friday, Valentina Pina from the Regio will speak more in view of new component 5, that we had as well this pilot on interregional innovation from these partnerships to see how to shape the new component 5. And it is very clear that the coordination for having the investments is the biggest issue. And I'm thinking that actually the political commitment from regions is very important, and this is the role of these partnerships is actually fulfilling this. But then you need to have implementers to have this strategic political commitment at the regional level to happen. And clusters being the real business, being the real research, being the real organizations which are touching the ground, they can liaise with each other within the partnerships, having the sort of blessing of the regional authorities, and they can go for common projects. Common project being financed from EU, but not only. Yeah? I could imagine having the clusters working together in a very purely market-driven projects to implement innovation, because they can complement the assets. If it is going into where you have market failure with EU funding from, be it our future Euro cluster, be it component 5, be it Horizon Europe, be it any other Interregs, then it's better. But as well, we need to think that it's possible to have the projects which are market viable, just because we bring together actors and this coordination can happen. So from the practical point of view, I think in cluster conference, we might think about having the potential of matchmaking the clusters in the specific partnership themes which are there. It would be good to map all this all clusters with the partnerships like from water. You showed the slide, and on the slide you showed the regions. It would be excellent to have with the regions what kind of clusters we have in the regions, and then to make them aware that this initiative in partnerships it is, because many clusters from these regions probably don't even know that there is this political commitment at the regional level, with in background the funding coming from operational programs of regions for supporting this smart specialization areas. So things still to be done. Definitely, again, I think clusters are the ones who could make things happen and bring forward all these good ideas and first ignitions of partnerships between regions, but as well, I think clusters can initiate the collaboration between the regions. And if Alan from Scotland was saying, I mean, if you're interested in this, in cooling, maybe you could ignite the collaboration between regions, specifically in this field, bringing on board other clusters. So modalities, the framework theoretically is there. Modalities are still to be developed, but I think with European Cluster Alliance now being partner for this, we could come up and bring awareness to clusters that actually there are regions which are working in this partnership. That's it. What I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it's time to close. Fernando, you are the closing speaker.
Okay, it has been again a pleasure to share the activities of the platform with this very good audience. It has been a pleasure to have the chance to meet our partnerships, because we have not the chance in last times because of this awful situation to meet you. But as Isabella have said, we are trying to thinking about in organizing an steering committee of the industrial modernization platform, but inviting the other platforms, the leaders of the partnerships to this event, the leaders of the platforms, the leaders of the partnerships of the other two platforms to this event. And well, it was the main aim of this idea of participating in the webinar sessions that Antonio is organizing during the summer. It was to show, as I said before, and Isabel has very well pointed out, that the platforms are really very dynamic actors in the development of initiatives under the concept of interregional cooperation in Europe. We have been working a lot. The partnerships are the real elements, the tangible results of the objectives that the platforms have in mind when they were created. And we understand that it's really a difficult task, as Isabel has mentioned. To put in place a partnership and to run the partnership is really a difficult task, because it's something that you put on over your shoulders, not eliminating any of the other activities that you are doing, and it's very complex. But the results of this collaboration in the short term could be a very significant effort, but in the medium and the long term, we are completely sure that this is something relevant for Europe, something relevant for even for the particular region that are participating. But we are completely sure that this could be a really relevant framework for the development of new value chains in Europe. So thanks a lot, Antonio, for allowing us to share our activities with your audience, and thanks a lot, Hilary, Marisa, Simon, Felipe, and of course Isabel. It's always wonderful to work with all of you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you to every one of you, and have a very good weekend.
Yes,
thank you.
Indeed.
Ciao.
Bye. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye.
See you Monday.
Thank you.